Listening to ABC News.
Why is Navage perfect for allergy sufferers? Rhino Systems Medical Director Dr. Howard Levine explains.
If someone's exposed to allergens, they can get rid of those immediately by washing out the nose. Navage works by pulling saline in one nostril through the nose and out the other nostril, sucking out allergens, mucus, dust, and germs. Experience on-the-spot relief so you could breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier.
Navage is available at Sam's Club, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or online at Navage.com. Navage, breathe easy.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. And one thing I've learned is that you buy a house, but you make it a home. Because with every fix, update, and renovation, it becomes a little more your own. So you need all your jobs done well. For nearly 30 years, Angie has helped millions of homeowners hire skilled pros for the projects that matter. From plumbing to electrical, roof repair to deck upgrades. So leave it to the pros who will get your jobs done well. Hire high-quality certified pros at Angie.com.
WSJM News Now. Team coverage from the WSJM Newsroom on News Talk Sports 94.9 WSJM.
And taking a look at some of the local news from the WSJM Newsroom this morning, it's been officially 1 year since the implementation of Michigan's hands-free distracted driving law. Michigan State Police First Lieutenant Mike Shaw says the law does a much better job of explaining what constitutes distracted driving, opposed to the previous laws that prohibited texting while behind the wheel.
We all know that everything that takes your eyes or your focus away from actually driving is a form of distraction. But what this law does is narrows down some of that distraction so you're not so involved in your phone or other devices.
Shaw says over the first year of the law, state troopers have made roughly 4,000 traffic stops related to distracted driving. Reminder, it is a primary offense. If you're seen driving with the cell phone in your hand, they can pull you over for just that. 2 juveniles are expected to face charges after being caught breaking into cars and stealing items in the city of Bridgman over the weekend. The Bridgman Police Department says it had several reports of cars being broken into and thefts. With the help of residents, they were able to identify the culprits, and according to police, they've both confessed. The department notes that the 2 do not live in the city. Police are working to recover all of the stolen property, and they remind everyone to lock up their cars when they're parked. Also, police say it's not a good idea to leave valuables in the car, especially in plain sight through the window. The next lineup for the Mendel Center at Lake Michigan College has been announced, and it includes a visit from a sports legend. Mendel Center Director George Kendall tells us the Lake Michigan College Speaker Series, formerly the Economic Club of Southwestern Michigan Speaker Series, will welcome Irvin Magic Johnson to the Grand Upton Hall on August 23rd. So we asked, what will Magic talk about?
It could be on sports, it could be on his philanthropic work, could be on both. So we're just trying to decide how best to use this time for our audience.
Kendall says next up will be former New York City firefighter and 911 survivor Tim Brown, a 9/11 survivor, Tim Brown on September 23rd.
He was a firefighter and he was on the ground. He almost was crushed when one of the buildings came down. He was very fortunate to duck into a little alcove area. So that certainly gave him a near-death experience.
Another invited speaker is U.S. Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney, who will talk about leadership in golf. Kendall says the Mendel Center is working to arrange a few more speakers to close out the season. Other weekend performances include music and even a stunt dog performance. You can find the full schedule at themendelcenter.com. And Michiganders are reminded to be careful when using fireworks this 4th of July and to stay on your own property. Michigan State Fire Marshal Kevin Selmeyer wants you to enjoy the holiday safely and remember that parking lots, streets, and other public areas are often prohibited places from using fireworks without prior permission. He says you might find yourself fined if you're trespassing. Selmeyer also reminds amateur pyrotechnicians to keep some caution and some common sense in mind.
We want to make sure that you have a bucket of water close by where you're setting off fireworks. We also would like to see fireworks not any closer than 25 feet to any buildings, decks, garages, pole barns, so that you have some space. Also want to take into consideration any trees where if that firework was to go up on an angle, you don't want it hitting a tree and coming down to the ground.
Statewide, the Michigan Fireworks Safety Act allows Michiganders to set off consumer fireworks from June 29th to July 4th between 11 a.m. and 11:45 p.m. And on July 5th, if that falls on a Friday, which this year it does, between 11 a.m. and 11:30 p.m. Per state law, no one may light fireworks while under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Selmeyer says spent fireworks should be watered down after the show, and don't throw the fireworks in the trash until you know they're fully extinguished and probably waterlogged too. That is a look at some of the local news that we're following from the WSJM newsroom. More coming up in just a few moments. We'll have our president and general manager, Dave Deutsch. He's in the room right now. He's watching. Yeah, oh boy. You should see on the live stream. If you're not tuned into the video live stream, he just gave me the look of death. It is Facebook, YouTube, and X. You can tune in. We're having a lot of fun on the WSJM Morning Show.
From ABC Sports, this is Rich Cantu. The surging Mets got back to 500.
We'll hit those buttons. Hi, Dave.
Good morning, Ken.
Good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Here we go.
That feels very cordial.
It does. We want to show the pleasantries on the screen.
Yes, exactly. While the cameras are on. You said you could see the rain out there, but it wasn't sprinkling on you yet.
But the wind is picking up a little bit, and over the lake, you see it creeping in, and it's dark.
Okay. All right.
That's all right. If it's a little light rain this morning, that's good. It'll burn off through the day.
Yeah, it'll be very nice. I don't know if you were listening to the station on your way in.
I was.
Oh, sorry. I did preview a couple of things.
Yeah, I heard. Set me up.
Well, I thought I'd give you a little advance notice on, because we have good conversations. Sometimes we talk about things that are happening in society and culture. And this is one of the things people have been very worried about is what were the long-term effects of the pandemic, not just from a physical health perspective, but also thinking about what the school, being out of school and not around your friends and all that other stuff had on the toddlers. So I thought we might chat about that a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we're going to be feeling the outcomes of that for a long time. For some people, they wanted it to be like a light switch. It was on and then it was off. And for myself, all I can say, it was a very unique compression of time because it feels like it was just yesterday and it feels like it was 15 years ago now.
Yeah.
But we're still feeling the ramifications of it every day. Heck, we have 3 staff members out right now with COVID.
But do we really?
We do.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, it's still out there. It's in a different form. But one of them, they do what you do. They're on the air. They can't even speak right now.
Oh, no.
Because of it. Yeah. So it's a variable that isn't gone, still exists, not in the same form, but it's affecting us every day. When you go to kids, I really wonder how conscientious we are about it. And
what do you mean?
I don't know how much we've paid attention to the effect that it's had on children.
Okay.
You had a group that started high school in COVID and finished high school outside of COVID, but they never really got the same high school experience others should have, right? And that'll have a ramification. Do we know what that ramification is? No. Is it got different nuances to it? Of course, but I think it's going to affect them societally. I think it's going to affect them with their ability to cope. I think it's going to affect their ability to learn. I would think if it was back in that era for myself, how can you trust adults? I think there's a variable there. Like, wait a minute, aren't the adults supposed to be in charge and helping us? And it didn't look like that in many cases. To me, as an adult, or if somebody wants to call me that, I guess I'm just a grown-up. But you could see that there was this divisiveness and this vitriol, and there was and there wasn't, and who to blame, and all this other stuff. And you look to adults to bring a sense of sound-mindedness, and instead it brought something much different, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And they watched that. They are in a moment in their life where their brains are learning. They're learning to survive. They're learning to adapt. They're learning to understand. And then you had adults who didn't function, in my opinion, healthily as adults.
Yeah.
Right or wrong. I'm not sitting here trying to judge people and put them in a corner and wag my finger at them, but we have to be honest. It wasn't sound-minded in its full scope. There was a lot of animosity, and still to this day that exists. And to me, it's like, Okay, what does that solve? I'm not really sure. Okay, you want to be mad at me? Okay, great. Now what? That's that part I don't understand.
You had your coffee this morning. I can
I just
tell.
had this is my second cup. But you and I have talked before. I have opinions, and I do my homework, and
Yeah.
then and I balance those things out. And personally, I don't care if people like it or don't like it. It's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate you sharing that. And if because COVID at the outset was a mystery disease,
Mhm.
and then it obviously all the things happened that happened. Now here we are. What are we, four and a half years
Yeah.
removed from it? And you mentioned 3 people are out, and they've got COVID, but it's kind of affected them like a bad cold. Not even a bad
Yeah,
cold.
this one. Well, actually, this one is
Is
a
it a bad
horrible
cold?
cold.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm not really sure why it's come to that, but this is, really bad cold
Yeah.
type of dynamic.
If it remains basically in that realm, do we even talk about it anymore? Does it become a thing, or is it just? I mean, because of the cold is not just cold; it was something like a COVID at some
Absolutely. Yeah,
point.
now it's in its new form. The element that I sit and wonder about is they've talked about the fact that another likely will occur to the immensity that COVID was in the next 10 years.
Right.
Okay, what's going to happen then? How do we respond to it then? And then you look at it, those young people who were in, like we just talked about, starting high school 10 years from now, they're going to be major contributors to society. Hopefully their experience helps us approach it differently.
Yeah. Well, deep stuff on a
It is deep
Tuesday
stuff.
morning. It's
It
good.
is, but most people don't want to talk about deep stuff. Can we talk about the movie I watched I didn't like, or that my Netflix is too expensive, or whatever? Distracting type of topics that make life palatable.
Are you watching Netflix?
I don't have Netflix.
Oh, you watch any good movies lately?
I like British series, and I'm watching a British detective
Which
series
one?
called Unforgotten.
Oh.
So it's on Prime.
Okay.
So that's a good one. I'm enjoying it. So I've always loved British television.
Okay. They do a nice job.
It just seems a little bit more real,
Yeah,
American
gritty.
television feels a little bit more fabricated. Like, we better get this in time for the commercial break, and 4 commercials, but you just feel that difference in kind of the texture of the programming.
Yeah. Yeah. Stephanie and I were watching and she'll have to text me the detective series. I think there were 4 seasons of it, and it's a British product. She'll text me the name of it, hopefully, if she's listening.
And I did watch a
able to.
movie recently that was phenomenal, but it'll only, in my opinion, only be phenomenal for people who remember movies of a certain era, and that's The Holdovers.
Oh, we haven't seen that yet.
Oh,
it was good?
Oh, it's like watching a movie from 1975.
Okay.
Even to the point that the opening credits, you're thinking you're watching a movie from the 1970s. And it's a movie about human beings. It's not about stuff blowing up or superheroes or fantasy world.
What's fun in that?
So, and those are fine. I
Yeah.
love those movies. It's not that I don't, but this was like an homage to the 70s. And then you had Paul Giamatti, who is just a
he's
phenomenal actor. And it was a little predictable, but I didn't care that it was predictable because the context of the characters was what was really drawing you in.
Yeah.
So,
oh, I like that a lot. All right, we'll come back. We'll talk a little bit more about the toddlers and the learning issues that they may or may not be having as they develop through COVID. We'll talk about movies. Stephanie says it was CB Strike. You ever seen that one?
I don't know that one. CB Strike.
I'll have to look it up because it was really good, and see who starred in it. But we'll come back and talk about more on that in just a moment. It's the WSJM Morning Show.
Backup storage, you're getting peace of mind. 99.99% uptime, redundant power, all in a tornado-proofed high-security site. That's what Midwest Data Depot offers, ensuring your business stays operational 24/7. Small businesses account for 43% of cyber attacks annually. Don't be a statistic. Contact us today and let's chat about keeping your data safe and your business running smoothly. Visit MidwestDataDepot.com or call 574-855-8588. That's MidwestDataDepot.com. 574-855-8588.
Partly to mostly cloudy this morning. We'll see a few sprinkles near the lakeshore, but becoming partly sunny during the day and temperatures a little warmer. We're going to top out at 83 inland. We'll be in the upper 70s along the lakeshore. Tonight, overnight, we'll see a chance of a few showers. We'll stay near 70. And then for Wednesday, mostly cloudy, a few scattered showers, high temperatures around 85. I'm meteorologist Carrie Peugeot.
The Morning Show with Ken and Friends on 94.9 WSJM.
All right. I've already started a feud with Stephanie, my wife Stephanie, because we're talking about British shows. If you're missing the video live stream, you're missing a lot and some context. So I'll give you a little context this time, but next time I would like you to tune into the video live stream on Facebook, YouTube, or X and look for WSJM. But no, we were talking about cinema, and then we were talking about TV shows. We were talking about what Dave Deutsch has been watching. He's the president and general manager of Midwest Family, Southwest Michigan, and South Bend, and a few other
president
areas.
for South Bend. They run it day to day. I just deal with the banks.
So you, the important stuff, everything with the purse strings. But no, we were talking about shows that you like. You like the British shows, and I was mentioning a detective show that we watched recently. We watched two of them that we really like. One was CB Strike, and the other one was Luther.
Oh, I know Luther. I watched that years ago.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Which got a little bit weird at a certain point,
What
and
do
I
you
kind of
mean
fell out from it.
How did it get weird?
And it just didn't get. I loved the first few seasons, but it just kind of felt like it was rinse and repeat. I can't remember the character's name, the redheaded woman who just kept reappearing and making misery. And it's like, you're a cop. How is she not arrested and in jail at this point? It's like it just was kind of somehow that she always had to resurface. It was a little bizarre for me.
It was a little bizarre, and I wouldn't say it jumped the shark because it stayed in its waters, but that character in particular you're talking about, she was like the female Hannibal Lecter.
Right. And it's like, if this is this
why?
awful person and you've caught her and then she keeps getting loose, then why are you the character we care about? You're really bad at your job.
No, but the most recent one we were watching, the most recent we were watching was CB Strike, which is a fun British, I don't know, private detective show.
It just so I can check that out, because I always love British crime and British sci-fi and just all that good British stuff.
Yeah, but what made it interesting to me was I found out that it was based on best-selling novels by Robert Galbraith, and I'd been through the first season and a half before discovering who Robert Galbraith was. It was a ghost name. It was a pseudonym for J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, she wrote the series under a different name. They turned it into a TV show. And so, J.K. Rowling did that.
Yeah.
I mean, divisive as she is, she spins a yarn.
She does, though. You know, Harry Potter is basically Star Wars. I mean, have you ever seen that
I've seen Star Wars.
No, the comparison. There's a video. It's either on social media or you can find it on YouTube. At a little bit more depth, but it shows like how Star Wars and Harry Potter are almost identical. The three characters, Han, Leia, and Luke, and then you have the wise wizard. You have Obi-Wan Kenobi. You have the evil Darth Vader. I mean, you have Voldemort. You have two different spheres, the Sith, or then you've got So it's just interesting where you've got Chewbacca, and then you've got Ronnie Corbett's character as the giant, right? And so you've got all these comparisons, and so that's what art is kind of borrowing ideas and reshaping it. So I'm not anti that, but that's it is interesting. It is interesting. I would also suggest that's classic literature, because you have the protagonist, you have the evil person, then you have the helpers along the way. And I mean, Star Wars is basically a Shakespearean novel just retold in in space. Yeah, again, I'm not trying to ostracize her for it. It's just it's interesting how
you're
that
saying
happens.
She copied George Lucas.
And I'm sure George Lucas copied other people. I mean, I'm just saying it's an interesting video.
It is an interesting
video.
You're good.
I'm not saying we got to take them to the court of public opinion and scrutinize them.
Speaking of the court of public opinion, we have Teresa on the video live stream this morning. Good morning, Teresa. Good morning, Bill, Diane, and John. If you're not watching the video live stream, please, we invite you to do so. It's at YouTube, Facebook, and X. I've got Dave Deutsch here from Midwest Family. Thanks for joining again this morning. It's a holiday week. You doing anything fun for 4th of July?
Yeah, watch a little fireworks, eat some food, nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
Good. We were talking a few minutes ago on the video live stream about the developmental learning of young humans, toddlers, they call them. They interviews with a dozen teachers, 24 teachers, pediatricians, and early childhood experts have depicted really kind of a generation that's less likely to have age appropriate skills, and it's because of the pandemic and a lot of the lockdown. They say they missed out on some of that developmental stuff. So we've been talking a little bit about that. They say the pandemic's effect on older children who were sent home during school closures and lost significant ground in math and reading has been well documented, but the impact on the youngest children is in some ways surprising the experts. They were not in formal school when the pandemic began, and they were at an age when they spend a lot of time home anyway, so people kind of overlooked what the impact would be. And I think the bottom line on this is they missed a lot of that social exposure that they would have gotten otherwise to see and do to mimic what others are doing outside of their home.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by it. You know, that it was very impactful. It just no big deal. You're sitting inside your house and you're waiting, and you know they're very different. I'm not trying to minimize it, but you know, you look at the damage that people have in isolation, the depression, the hardships that they go through. It's evident that kind of living is not as easy as people want to make it out to be. Now do it with children who are learning at such an enormous rate. I don't think people sometimes realize the rate of learning that their brains are going in, to basically shut that down for a period of time and have them have to internalize that. And I fear that what they ended up doing was they sat and looked at screens for hours and hours and hours a day. And we are, you know, the evidence is there as well that isn't healthy. So you put those two things together, it's going to have an outcome. And I think we're going to see the peeling of the onion of that for a long time to come.
They also show that one additional explanation for young children's struggles is because of the parental stress that they saw during the pandemic. A baby who is exposed to more stress will show more activation on brain imaging scans in the parts of the baby's brain that focus on fear and focus on aggression. That's according to Rahil Briggs, a child psychologist who looks at ages 0 to 3.
Well, I was going to see if I can chime in with that. They talked about it during the pandemic, how serotonin levels inside of adults rose to enormous heights. And for people who don't know, if like you watch a deer in the woods and suddenly it lifts its head, that's the chemical knowing that something's going on, and now it's fight or flight, right? And you go into fight or flight mode. When you're in fight or flight mode, the chemical that goes into activation reduces your amount of empathy. You're not worried about the person next to you surviving. You don't care. You just want to outrun them. And it's just a survival instinct. But adults had serotonin levels happening nonstop. It's supposed to be momentary, and it was nonstop. Now you see what's happening to the kids. That migrated over, whether you like it or not. It did, and it's going to affect them dramatically.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. One of the things we're seeing in the entertainment area is a lot more activity for live events. Adults, teens alike, they want to go and they want to enjoy these mass events, concerts, comedy shows, gatherings, food fairs, whatever. Any thoughts as to, I mean, sure, we missed it, but is this going to be something that we continue to really crave as we move out of the post-pandemic wave?
They talk about that, and I am an introvert, and I think there is some dynamic of the introvert-extrovert there. As an introvert, I didn't mind the pandemic from a standpoint of the isolation as much as other people who were extroverts. So you go to this dynamic where you're talking about live events, and I think that's just the bait to the extroverts to find things to do, because we're still not doing things the way we once did fully. And there's less available. I mean, heck, you look at, we used to do 2 concerts a summer here to get people out, and now post-pandemic, financially and staff wise, we can't even embark upon that. So, I see for ourselves that some of those things are lesser than they were. So I'm sure for those individuals, those extroverts, they are looking for things to get out there to do. Whereas me as an introvert, I don't tend to think of it in the same light. So I wonder if there's a dynamic there, or it could just be me.
Yeah.
And I know I'm not like most people.
You're just a regular everyday Joe.
Okay,
Dave.
good. I'll go with it.
Can children catch up? That's concluding our discussion here. That's very deep for a Tuesday morning, but it is too early to know, experts say, whether young children will experience long-term effects from the pandemic, but researchers say there are reasons to be optimistic. Number one, kids are resilient. They bounce well when you drop them from a certain height. No, just kidding. It's absolutely possible.
A tree limb.
It's absolutely possible for them to catch up if we catch things early and understand what's happening. He said there's no deterministic about a brain at 6 months. There may have also been benefits to being young in the pandemic. The doctors have said that you will likely have increased resiliency and want to spend more time with family, making stronger bonds there.
Yeah, and I think resiliency is a key word there. One of the things that I would worry that was going through my mind as you were saying that is trying to be overly sensitive. And I'm not saying, don't be sensitive, but sometimes the response is we have to treat them like fine china. And I think we have to test their resilience. We have to understand them better. I think we have to find means of communication, which is tough for some of them, and nurture them, not just, I don't want to say baby them, but just, protect them. Shelter them, right? I think, again, we have to understand they are in major learning mode and keep teaching them instead of protecting them.
Yeah.
That sometimes is the instinct of the adult, which it has to come into play, but shielding them and protecting them based on that, I don't think helps with that resilience. I think it maybe even pushes it down and it doesn't surface until down the road.
Yep. All right. We're going to continue talking about this and other things. It is the WSJM Morning Show. ABC News is coming up in just a moment. We'll have a check on local news as well. And our Bloomberg Market Minute is coming up.
Loan rates are trending downward. Are you ready to make your move? Sturgis Bank's expert hometown lenders will guide you through the process and take the time to make sure you're ready to become a homeowner. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, looking at a vacation house, or thinking of building, Sturgis Bank can meet your needs. Experience the Sturgis Bank difference. Highly personal service, long-time community support, and a desire to do right by the people we serve. Visit SturgisBank.com to learn more. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Summer is rolling in, and it's
And the microphones are back on. I like to warn people about that. Do you think I should? Like guests and stuff, that the microphones are on?
Yeah, I think that's helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, we promise them exclusive content.
Well, but again, you forget when you're sitting in this chair.
That's
so
true.
It's there's no
All
on-air
right.
light behind you that's telling me that's happening. So
All right. Seems fair. We'll have the Bloomberg Market Minute on the air in just a moment. Also, our latest from ABC News, and then we'll have to come back here. But other things you want to talk about? You read. You are a voracious reader. What are you reading right now?
what am I reading right now? Lies my teacher told me.
What is that about?
That is
lies that your teacher told you.
It's how we don't really know all of American history.
Yeah.
And there are things about American history that are kept from us through the textbooks, to shape this story of America. And when we talked about teaching young people, we tend to teach them the good stuff and we kind of minimize the bad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And this book says, wait a minute, there's some bad stuff, and you should know that too, as a balancing act against that.
Makes sense.
And so it's mind blowing as you read it. It is genuinely mind blowing because you start seeing things from a much different perspective when you have more information.
Give us an example.
Did you know that Woodrow Wilson sent U.S. troops into Eastern Russia during the Bolshevik Revolution to help the Tsar take down the revolution? And one of the reasons the Russians don't trust the United States is because of that.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I think it was like 50,000 troops went in.
50,000?
Yeah. Huh. And it failed, but yeah.
Huh.
And no idea that never anywhere did I ever read that. Right. So it's just mind blowing. And so when most people are asked, where did it fall apart with the United States and Russia? They usually say Yalta was between Stalin and FDR when they were negotiating after the war. But that was 20, 25 years later. So it goes back to the Russian Revolution and overthrowing the Tsar. And the United States was in an alliance with Great Britain, and the King of England was cousins with the Tsar of Russia. So that was where there was this kind of alliance. None of us, I never knew that.
No, I don't remember a single lesson on that.
So you take Stalin, who was a part of the revolution, good or bad, but why was he so anti-United States? Well, they sent in the military against them. Oh, well, that's kind of a big deal.
Hold that thought. We got to come back. We're going to do news in just a moment. It is the WSJM Morning Show.
Systems on June 19th that forced the slowing down of everything from scheduling and service repairs to parts deliveries and car purchases. There's a shift taking place in the housing market, and it's led to a gradual increase in the average loan rate on U.S. homes. The ICE Mortgage Monitor report says that an increasing number of older, lower rate mortgages are being replaced by newer loans with higher rates. An ICE executive says that as of May, about a quarter of homeowners with mortgages now have a current interest rate of 5% or higher, but just 2 years ago, 9 of every 10 mortgage holders were below 5%. Stock futures point to a lower open for Wall Street. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
The Morning Show with Ken Lundberg on WSJM.
It's 7:30, 33 that is, 60 degrees and cloudy in South Haven right now. It's also 60 degrees in St. Joseph with some light rain. We'll have news coming up in just a moment. The news is brought to you by Hassey's Towing and Crane Service, the trucks with the red, white, and blue on them. Hassey's Towing and Crane Service. The news is coming up next. Also, the forecast for today, partly sunny. Highs are probably going to be in the lower to mid 80s. Inland and a little cooler by the lake. Tonight's forecast, mostly cloudy. A 30% chance of showers overnight. Lows overnight probably in the upper 60s, lower 70s. And then for Thursday, just jumping ahead to look at your Independence Day holiday, partly sunny and a 50% chance of showers. So it's come down a little bit, but still some precipitation expected. We'll have more from the WSJM Morning Show. That is coming up in a moment.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Hurricane Beryl strengthening and hitting record status as it moves through the Atlantic. Here's ABC News Chief Meteorologist Ginger Z.
Beryl still making history, becoming the earliest Category 5 hurricane in the Atlantic Basin on record. It is remarkable to see, especially this time of year. It's got a lot of islands in its path, and eventually the United States coast could be at play.
Gas prices up 4 cents this 4th of July week as compared to last week. The Biden administration releasing about 40 million gallons of gas from the Northeast Strategic Reserve to try to steady those prices for the holiday. Former President Trump moving to have his hush money conviction thrown out, citing yesterday's Supreme Court ruling granting presidents immunity for official acts taken while in office. They say it's because juries saw evidence they believe should have been protected by presidential immunity. Top Democrats continue voicing concern about President Biden's future as the party's nominee following last week's debate performance. This is ABC News.
WSJM News Now. Team coverage from the WSJM Newsroom on News Talk Sports 94.9 WSJM.
Taking a look at some of the local news stories that we're following for you today. Michigan State Police are teaming up with law enforcement agencies across the state this month to crack down on speeding. Michigan State Police Lieutenant Duane Robinson with the Paw Paw Post tells us there are too many drivers ignoring the speed limit and putting others in danger. He says going even 1 mile an hour over the posted speed limit is technically speeding and you can be pulled over. Robinson says state police will have extra patrols out all July looking for lead-footed drivers. Meanwhile, Berrien County Undersheriff Greg Sanders says with this being the 4th of July week and probably an extended weekend for many, sheriff's deputies are keeping a close eye on the roads. They have some advice. We'll tell you more about that coming up at 8 o'clock. Benton Harbor City Commissioners are seeking a new grant to restore and reopen the Bobo Brazil Community Center. The Southwest Michigan Planning Commission's Marcy Hamilton tells us she's helping the city apply for a $500,000 environmental justice impact grant from the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy. The grant helps eliminate blight in communities, and Hamilton says it could be used for a variety of work at the community center that's been shut down since 2009. More on that coming up at 8 o'clock as well. And Benton Harbor City Commissioners are seeking demolition of 27 abandoned homes around the city. At their Monday meeting, they approved a contract with Commonwealth Heritage Group for a required state historic preservation office review of the sites, so the demolitions can happen when that review is complete. We'll tell you about those stories and more. That's coming up at 8 o'clock right here on the WSJM Morning Show. We've got a whole lot more coming up in just a few moments, including sports from ABC. It's right here.
The Michigan News Network.
I'm Beth Fisher. Stellantis is realigning shifts at its Warren plant. The Stellantis truck assembly plant in Warren will be reduced to one shift for the month.
Touch that button over there. All right. I didn't know you were an introvert. You think you're an introvert?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think you're an introvert, or do you know you're an introvert?
I know I'm an introvert.
Why?
Because a book I read a few years ago by Susan Cain called Quiet really exemplified it. And what people don't understand about extroverts and introverts, they tend to devolve it to introverts don't like people and extroverts like people. That's not true.
Yeah,
it's how you recharge your battery.
Yeah.
I recharge my battery through quiet. An extrovert recharges their battery through noise. Being around people, being in events, activities, lights, sound, and that recharges their batteries. That drains my battery.
Yeah.
Totally drains my battery. It doesn't mean I hate it. Sometimes people will, break it down to that dynamic. You don't like people. You like to be alone. No, I like quiet and calm. That's why I love playing golf.
Yeah.
Because if I'm out on the golf course, and I usually play on my own because I don't want some knucklehead with me that's got a speaker going and, drinking and smoking a cigar. And rah, rah, rah. It's just not me. They can do it. I have it till the cows come home. I don't care. But for me, it's like I just enjoy the quiet and the calm.
Yeah. Sometimes golf is a very peaceful sport. And I've played it since before I was in high school. And one of the things I noticed a progression of was a laissez-faire attitude to the rules, where today they may not even exist. What do you wear on? You don't wear cutoffs on a golf course. At least I don't.
Depends on the course. You got to know if it's a goat track or if it's a real course.
If it's a cow pasture or a goat track, maybe, but you wouldn't find me out there in that. But then, don't hit up into other groups. Rate of play, that's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
That the rate of play for the non-golfer is keep up with the flow so that you're not holding anyone back behind you.
Yeah.
And don't play so fast if you're a single golfer thinking, oh, I'm just one person. And ask if you can play through. And typically people will let people play through. It's okay.
Yeah, I think you have to have the courtesy of how many people
Courtesy
are really,
is the big word.
Yeah, ahead of you. I mean, if you've got, a foursome and you're on your own and they're going a little slower, you can ask the courtesy and go through. But, sometimes I find that I'll walk up and I'll actually creep back and stay away, and they'll see me and they'll wave me forward and go, "You want to play through?" So, yeah, that's what I do.
Okay, that's nice. That's good. How many balls do you lose at Harbor Shores?
Oh, usually 3. Yeah.
On the first tee?
No. But
that was my experience
usually,
there.
I mean, I'll be honest, usually 3 around, typically in the water, maybe in the wood. Sometimes I've had it happen there where you get into a bad rough and it's like, I just can't find it.
Yeah.
Especially on number 10, you get over to the right. Some of that rough is so heavy. I've had that happen.
The first tee is where I lost 2 or 3 balls because I hit into the grass, and the people I was with, and they said, "You're never going to find it in there. Just go ahead and hit another one."
Yeah.
Like, all right, fine. All right, fine. You mentioned you didn't want to talk about the debates, so
no, not interested.
The governor talked about the debates.
That's great.
Did you
People
see that?
can look her up online and soak it all in.
Did you see what she said, though?
I just got glimpses of it. I didn't dive into all of it. I've been.
We talked about it last hour because I knew we were going to talk about other things, but she put on social media, anyone who claims that I would say that we can't win Michigan because, in parentheses, because of the president's debate performance last week is full of blank. But she used the real word. Should a governor be using curse words on social media?
Are they a human being?
But it's social media.
Yeah, but again, this whole idea, I mean, I would say not typically, but I think circumstantially it can come into play. But, it's who
if you really want to make a point.
Who are we protecting nowadays? I was just saying this to somebody yesterday. They're like, "My children." I'm like, "Do your children have phones?" And they're like, "Well, yes." And I'm like, "And do you have them on security modes?" We're like, "Well, no." And I'm like, then your children know way more than you even remotely understand.
Yeah, I don't even know how you even with the security modes, I don't know how you or if you can protect children from the everything that's out there. And the answer is you can't, because their friend down the street has a smart device.
And we never have. I mean, it's just they're not meant for that. I mean, give me a break. The more you tell a kid not to do something, the more they want to do it.
Yeah.
You know, tell them to go smoke a pack of cigarettes and they'll hate it. Tell them you have to.
We talk a lot about the seagulls because there are a lot of them.
It's crazy. To
Which
me,
part?
it's just the seagulls and what is happening societally around here. It's like, no big deal. We're just overrun by
we're overrun by
seagulls.
gulls now. Yeah,
and it's like it just happens. And just again, society is devoid of mature adults leading in sound-minded ways to make decisions to address things. Everybody wants to blame everybody else, and everybody wants to find the easy answer. Everybody wants to find the cheap answer. Everybody wants it to be somebody else's problem, and then you got a bunch of dead birds all over the place.
The reason I brought this one up is because up in Traverse City over the weekend they had a Blue Angels performance.
Mm-hmm.
The Jets were up there, the Navy's Jets, and one of the Blue Angels had to leave the performance early after a gull damaged one of the aircraft's engines. Basically,
flew in.
Yeah, flew right in. The cruise cargo plane Fat Albert flew to Pensacola early Sunday for parts to repair the aircraft and returned to Traverse City. They repaired it, and there you go.
No, fortunately, nobody was harmed.
Fortunately, except for the seagull.
Yeah, which is unfortunate, but get out of the way.
It's not the gull's fault. They were here first.
Okay, but it's how it works. I don't know. I don't have no comment on that.
No, but we have talked about the issue with the gulls at Orchards Mall, and
it just should be called Gulls Mall. I mean, it's theirs now. Remove the orchard. There's no trees. There's no apples. There's just gulls.
There are a lot more gulls than we've ever seen before. And we did talk to the health department officials locally and the environment folks, and they sent out one of the gulls to find out, or a few of the gulls to test it to see if it was bird flu that was messing with a lot of them. They said no, there's no signs of bird flu in the test results that they had, but they did want to additionally test them to see if they were being poisoned. They have not reported those results yet. They say those are going to be a few weeks away from now. But our local health officials are telling us it's probably just that period of that week when we had really hot temperatures and they were dehydrated and there wasn't a lot to eat, because a lot of the gulls you saw were the young ones. They were just standing in the road like, I'm not going to move for this car. Squish. So it's still weird. It's more birds than I've seen congregating there.
Yeah, it is a problem that needs to be addressed.
Yeah,
and it's just bizarre. Can it be addressed? Who knows? And then if it was addressed, somebody's going to have a problem with how it was addressed. And I lived in another community years ago, and there was a problem with birds in the downtown area and swooping and hitting people and making it hostile to the point where people didn't want to go to the part of the downtown area where that was happening. So they hired somebody who was a bird specialist to remove the birds.
Yeah.
And then the birds were gone. Boom. How did that happen? And then you had a whole nother group want to sue the city for hiring this guy. What did they do? You have to prove where the birds went and they're all safe and all this stuff. And it's like, okay. All right. It's just madness.
We'll be back to talk about more of the madness in a moment. It's the WSJM Morning Show.
Promo code QUALITY at checkout.
Omaha Steaks, America's original butcher.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came and we're maxed out.
Maxed out cards, rent is due. We just need some extra cash to help us get by.
Maybe we should go to 27cash.com.
With our bad credit?
27cash.com is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with any type of credit get up to $5,000, and cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
When you need extra cash, go to 27cash.com. That's 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
Partly to mostly cloudy this morning. We'll see a few sprinkles near the lakeshore, but becoming partly sunny during the day and temperatures a little warmer. We're going to top out at 83 inland. We'll be in the upper 70s along the lakeshore. Tonight, overnight, we'll see a chance of a few showers. We'll stay near 70. And then for Wednesday, mostly cloudy, a few scattered showers, high temperatures around 85. I'm meteorologist Carrie Peugeot.
The Morning Show with Ken Lundberg on WSJM.
We are overjoyed that you have chosen to spend part of your morning with us on the WSJM Morning Show, especially for those of you on the video live stream. Thanks for tuning in on Facebook, YouTube, and X. If you have a comment for us, talking with Dave Deutsch, he's the president and general manager of Midwest Family Southwest Michigan. I invited him in because it's a holiday week, and I had a space for a guest. And I said to Dave, will you come on the show? And he said, no. I like sleeping. You said you didn't say that exactly, but no, you're very.
I had to think about it a second and just look at my schedule, and yeah, I can do it.
You were very gracious to do so. On the video live stream a moment ago, we were talking about gulls and the huge gull problem at Orchards Mall in Benton Township. Over on the east side of the state, Lakeside Mall in Macomb County has permanently closed. Another mall over there has permanently closed, and they're going to kick off an extensive redevelopment project for the area. It's been in the works for years. Since opening in the 1970s, Lakeside Mall was a popular area for gathering in Sterling Heights, buzzing with stores, shoppers, restaurants, events, and attractions. They had an ice skating rink, a water slide. You could get food there, all that other stuff. It's died down at that mall as it has at all malls, basically, almost all malls throughout the United States. Attractions came and went. The COVID pandemic really put the nail in the coffin for a lot of them. Plans to redevelop the mall into a mixed-use space have been in the works for years, and they were refined and finalized during the pandemic. Those behind the redevelopment project announced earlier this year that the mall will officially close. It has, and the last day for shoppers was Sunday, June 30th. At least they're moving forward. It's a 110-acre parcel in Detroit, in the Detroit area. It's going to be demolished, and they're going to ground break next year for that development.
It comes down to leadership. I mean, Detroit years ago, for many years, was a very slow responding community with a lot of problems. And now today, they've somehow figured it out, and leadership has come together, and you're seeing good things happen in Detroit. And hopefully that can be an example for other communities to follow.
Yeah, you don't have to look far to see cranes down there. A lot of construction. That means money. That means investment. That means belief and opportunity.
Right.
For what's happening there.
Absolutely.
And so it's it's a nice thing. The Gulls here have a plan for the Orchards Mall.
They've turned it into their own development project.
They've already renovated it into
they
their
held
own.
a council meeting.
Oh my
and
gosh.
we live here now.
Yeah. But if you do drive by there, you can see we've got an issue there. We'll continue following that news story. We've got our Moody on the Market update. It's coming up in just a moment on the WSJM Morning Show. Do you have a student who will be graduating in 2024? What are their plans? Taking on a bunch of student debt? Going into an entry-level minimum wage job? Lake Michigan College has a better option, the Red Hawk Futures Scholarship. Did you know the average student borrows over $30,000 to pursue a bachelor's degree? That's a lot of money. Help your students secure their future tuition-free. There's a better future at Lake Michigan College. Learn more at lakemichigancollege.edu/futures.
Celebrate July 4th with savings at Lowe's. For a limited time, save on the essentials you need to make your garden pop for summer, like Miracle-Gro 25-quart potting mix. Get 2 bags for just $16 and get up to 40% off, plus save an extra $50 on every $500 you spend on select major appliances. Hurry, these deals won't last long because Lowe's knows summer savings. Valid through 7/10. Miracle-Gro excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Appliance savings vary based on purchase amount, excluding supply. See Lowe's.com for more details. While supplies last.
The Morning Show with Ken and Friends on 94.9 WSJM.
It's been a fast hour. It's 7:51 right now. 7:51. You're welcome to stay for as long as you want. Dave Deutsch, President and General Manager of Midwest Family Southwest Michigan, is my guest today. I invite you in because you know a lot of stuff.
Few things.
And it's fun to talk to you, not just because you're my boss.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. It's time for the Moody on the Market update. Moody on the Market Update is brought to you by Insurance Management Service. Call IMS today, your local auto owners insurance agency in St. Joseph and in Niles. And one of the things we love to talk about during the Moody on the Market Update is new business. Downtown St. Joseph is known for its unique stores and shops, often lovingly manned by an owner-operated, dedicated to the theme or product of a store, and another is poised to open mid-month, mid-July. Yours truly, Elizabeth, will be a stationery store owned and operated by Elizabeth Ross of St. Joseph, who recently told her Facebook followers about downtown plans. She said, "Paper people, I'm moving on to the next chapter. Yours truly, Elizabeth." That's the name of the operation. Yours truly, Elizabeth, is moving from Urban Garage Market into her very own storefront in downtown St. Joseph. It's going to be at 615 Pleasant Street, located next door to Thornton's Cafe. She says, "Thank you so much for your continued support and encouragement." She's delighted to announce that yours truly, Elizabeth, will officially open their doors Friday, July 12th at their brand new location. She says paper brings people together, whether it's a birthday gift, a love letter, or a simple lunchbox note paper. Note paper is part of the daily lives of people, and she can't wait to share her joys of paper with everyone in this brand new stationery shop. So that's incredibly refreshing. You think about the digital age that we're in and artificial intelligence, saying it with a note is classic.
It does. It's unique. I was surprised to hear about that. Hopefully they succeed.
Yeah. We wish them all the best. And if you want to read more about that article, just read more about that store, rather, just look for the article on moodyonthemarket.com. Moody on the Market Update is brought to you by Insurance Management Service. Call IMS today, your local auto owners insurance agency in St. Joseph and in Niles. And we've got a lot more coming up next. It's the WSJM Morning Show.
We're watching over you. IMS Insurance Management Service.
IMS understands that when you run a business, having someone you can lean on means something.
All right. Do you like to? You're an artist. You like to paint.
Yes, I do.
Do you like stationery?
Yes.
Do you appreciate stationery? I should say.
I appreciate it. Yes, I journal from time to time as well.
Do you? How do you journal?
Just make small observations of my day.
Okay. You ever go back and look at it?
I have from time to time. A little bit.
Yeah.
You know, I don't get too deep. You know, just some small observations.
Yeah. Nice.
I should do it more.
Yeah.
You know, time gets away from you, and you get into a habit, and you do it for a couple weeks, and then you're like, "Oh, I'll do that in the morning," and then that becomes, "I'll catch up on that on Saturday too."
Yeah.
Heck, I haven't opened that up in a month.
In school, the requirement in some classes was journal. This is your assignment, and this is your time. You'll never be graded. No one will ever see it. The only requirement is you sit there and write for yourself, and only for yourself. And that was an interesting time. I did find, however, that I then gave value to that paper, and I didn't want to get rid of it. And as you move from place to place to place, I threw it away.
Yeah, I can understand it.
Yeah, it makes more sense.
Yeah.
Anyway,
would be cool to have done it years ago. You know, looking back, it'd be like, well, if I would have done it at this point in time and done it at this point in time, and then go back, that would have been smart, savvy. But we don't tend to function that way.
Yeah, I do keep letters that people write, most of them, if they're good. And the ones that I'm thinking of right now are letters from my grandfather.
Ooh, that'd be nice.
Yeah,
I never got anything like that from my grandfather.
He wrote to me on computer, and then printed it out on dot matrix printers. He was the one that introduced me to computers.
Oh,
as a matter of fact, we'll talk more about that later. But anyway,
I only ever had one real conversation with my grandfather.
Oh,
in my whole life.
Really?
It was 2 months before he died.
Oh, well,
it was good.
Okay, we will. Let's talk about our grandfather's letters in just a moment, or lack thereof, in just a moment as we wrap up this hour on the WSJM Morning Show. We'll be right back.
Free replacement estimates. Call McGee's at 466-0123 or visit McGee'sHeating.com. Serving the Lakeshore from New Buffalo to St. Joe. Carrier, turn to the experts and feel at ease with McGee's.
Feel at ease with McGee's. From the Pat Moody Studios, this is News Talk Sports 94.9. WSJM FM Benton Harbor, St. Joseph. Depend on us. The Morning Show with Ken and Friends on 94.9 WSJM.
All right. Just checking in on the live stream, what some people have been weighing in on. Oh, boy. One of my childhood friends has weighed in and says, look into bird baits. It's a bird feed. Oh, dear. We're not going to do that one. It's illegal to poison the birds, Evan. John Hawkins says, I know a few malls here in Memphis, Tennessee, where he resides. And John, are they doing well? And what's different about them? Because across America, you saw a lot of the anchor stores disappeared. Once those disappeared, they became T-shirt shops and shoe shops, and a lot of them have just kind of withered on the vine.
Yeah, no, it's just bizarre. And with all of the shopping, not all, a majority of the shopping now happening online, the experience of shopping in person is kind of gone away. But it's interesting how you're starting to hear about younger people like, I don't want to just do it all online. Can't we go somewhere and see this stuff and touch this stuff? So
yeah,
it's the ebb and flow, just like downtowns are dead. I remember that when I first started in the business world, and now downtowns are revitalizing and malls are dead. So it's just things, the pendulum of time.
Do you think malls will come back?
I think something will come back. I don't know if it'll necessarily be a full-on mall as it once was, but something along those lines. Somebody will be like, hey, it'd be a cool idea is if we enclosed all this and controlled the temperature and didn't have to worry about this stuff.
And people could hang out.
People could just
you could
hang
see
out.
people and be seen. You could go get an Orange Julius.
You could put a slide in that place, and it's like, yeah.
I think part of the problem, though, is we have too much information. Part of the information that we have is price comparison through our smartphones.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I can go and look and feel and try something on, let's say clothes or something like that. Then I can get it cheaper if I order it online. But it may not be the same quality. You don't know.
You don't know.
It's a crapshoot.
Typically online, it's garbage. I know some people are like, I buy everything from Temu. And I'm like, I wouldn't even think of buying anything from Temu.
Temu seems so dangerous.
And now Amazon's going to respond. They feel now they're going to go with a discount line to compete because that's how much Temu is already affecting them. Yeah.
Oh, so we're going to produce more garbage.
More garbage to make you feel good about yourself.
Dave Deutsch, he's the president and general manager of Midwest Family, Southwest Michigan. And I'd like to say that you're one of my friends because this is Ken and Friends.
I was going to ask you that. Do I get to be a friend? Can I be the boss and a friend?
It's like
typically I'm friendly.
Yeah, friendly. I'd say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless the water in the coffee isn't up. So
no, that'll get me irritated when people walk away with no water in the coffee bin. For the Keurig, and it's like, are you kidding me?
Oh my goodness! And we found out it wasn't me. I didn't do it.
You're right. I accused you, and you put your judge and defender's cap on. You had the white powder.
No, I was the CI. I was the.
You chased down the other person who did it, and then that person was like, "All right, I did." It's like, well, that was no fun. It was too easy.
61 degrees outside, some light rain happening. It is the WSJM Morning Show. We've got news from around the world coming up from ABC. Then we'll take a look at our local news, visit sports, and a whole lot more. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. The first hurricane of the season making history. Beryl has passed Grenada and Barbados and is now headed for Jamaica.